Hello everyone, welcome back to another thrift store finds video. We have a few Goodwill things to go through, and then the better stuff. Today I went again to that half price day sale we always go to every Wednesday, and I found one really exciting thing and then a bunch of just really good overall great trip type stuff. So first off, Goodwill, get some of these oddball things out of the way. I picked this guy up. He's in perfect condition, and from early 90s, and I'm like, where the heck do I know this guy from? And I'm looking at him, and then it just hit me from Lamb Chop, Lamb Chop's play along, Charlie Horse. I was like, that's what it is, a hand puppet, a kid's hand puppet from 93, I believe. The tag is still on there on the back and everything, really good condition. So yeah, that was definitely worth, bargain bin by weight type thing. Maybe paid a dollar, get 20 to 25 times my money back. That's a good deal, and it was a cool little thing because I probably have not thought of that individual character since I was maybe 4 years old. So 31 years later, wow, wait a minute, I know what that is. That's always kind of a curious thing. A sealed Sony high fidelity cassette tape. Finding these sealed is always a good grab for the buy weight prices because people still use those. I still use one thing I found too. This will be for me, an RCA recordable, sealed VHS tape. I usually prefer Sony, but RCA is fine as well. I still use those. I still record a lot of stuff on VHS. I think more people still use the tape-based formats out there than I think a lot of people realize. Next up, this Nick at Night classic TV cup. Not one of the better Nick at Night things that are out there, but still anything Nick at Night is collectible, and Nick at Night was a huge deal. That was really my introduction to one of my favorite eras of TV. I love the 50s through the 60s TV, 60s in particular, but Honeymooners and I Love Lucy from the 50s and through the 60s, Dick Van Dyke Show, Bewitched, even Green Acres, things like that. All that stuff was really introduced to me with Nick at Night, and that's where I really started getting into that. So that was a really important part of my history of finding favorite shows, and really a great window for I think a lot of people at that time into that era of earlier TV. Nick at Night was fantastic. And then on the VHS front, I have to edit that lot that I have up there of We Sing, because I found another one. This is one of those two that I was saying I remember having, but didn't find at that time. Found The Best Christmas Ever. This is one of those that was definitely put in our VCR every single December at some point, at least once during Christmas time growing up. So I remember that We Sing tape. And from Nick Jr., Gullah Gullah Island. This was after my time, but I do remember from kids I would babysit or much younger siblings and cousins and that kind of thing. So I do remember what Gullah Gullah Island is, and anything Gullah Gullah is very collectible. Anything from a lot of early Nick Jr. stuff, Bear in the Big Blue House, Gullah Gullah, all that stuff that was my much younger siblings and things, their era stuff. There are a lot of things like that that are very, very collectible on VHS, and some older stuff from our generation too, like Eureka's Castle. It never really made it to other formats. Little Bear from Nick Jr., a sealed episode collection, Making New Friends of Quigley's Village. Kind of a weird, obscure thing, never really knew much about, but is brand new sealed, and those are also collectible. Spice World, two more common ones here, and The Running Man, Schwarzenegger. Then moving from VHS to DVD, Gravy. I don't know what this is. It looks like a horror comedy film. Sarah Silverman is on here as the cast, and whatever, but for 10 cents I'll grab it. Green Street Hooligans. It's actually a pretty fun movie. I remember that one. Empire Records, the old snapper case release. There's collectors for everything, but the old cardboard and then snapper case inside DVDs, those very early DVDs. There is it feels a growing collector community, because it was only a few years really where this was the standard, and it feels kind of like a logical continuation from VHS, because the cardboard and everything, it feels kind of like a VHS version of a DVD case, and they're very flimsy though. Over the years, the spines in particular kind of wear down the way those are, but there's a collector community out for those versions of movies on that format. And the special edition of The Net with Sandra Bullock. This is a fun thriller. I actually really like it. We didn't own a copy of this, so it's cool to have this, and I'm happy to rewatch it because I haven't seen it since it was brand new, and it was one of those just random rentals on a Friday night. It's nothing amazing, but it was just a fun thriller, and it's pretty silly. It reminds me of like Hackers in a way, very different movies, but with the idea that the internet is this kind of mystical thing. And at the time, that late 90s, early 2000s, yeah, in the 80s, the computers were kind of a magical thing, and they would do things sometimes in B-movie plots that, like, oh, well, how could a computer can't do that? Like, this weird ethereal thing. And then computers were more realistic in movies. Then you went to the internet was kind of this weird mystical thing that was not really understood. So you go through phases of that. Then we have Keira Knightley in Anna Karenina. I've never seen this version of this, this movie based on the story. I have some older ones that I've seen, but I don't know if I'll watch this one or not. I do like Keira Knightley, but I don't know how interested I am. Maybe I'll check that out before selling it. Man of Steel, the Blu-ray DVD combo. This I know I'm not interested in. I've never been a huge Superman guy in general, and Henry Cavill is, like, I think perfect as far as the current crop of well-known actors for playing Superman. I think he's really well cast, but I just have never had that much of an interest in Superman in particular. A few book finds, kind of some random stuff for different formats. The Signet Classics, I always really like those versions of things. And all kinds of different things for, but look out for very different things depending on whether it's going on Pengo or going on eBay and like big lots and of a series or a bunch of kids books, or it's going on Macari or something. Very different types of books. So we end up with a big, like a strange variety of stuff, like all across the board because of the different things we're looking for. Next up for the half price day sale today, I always love when I can piece together a series of something on half price day where it's like 50 cents for a paperback, because those, that type of stuff that you find there tends to do poorly individually, but if you get a complete set or a lot of them, it suddenly like shoots up. So I got this Phil Rickman, a giant set here of those stories. It'll be a good one to lot up. And Beverly Lewis. We've sold a few of her stories before, and I grabbed all these because it is Point of Grace numbers 1, 2, and 3, and then Annie's People numbers 1, 2, and 3. So those will both do much better as like collections or lots than they would individually. And a bunch more books as well. 7 Pillars of Wisdom. Again, most of these were like 50 cents, and if they're in really good condition and something that there's a market out there for, definitely check it out. I don't know what this one, I actually want to check this one out. The Snow Fox. I've never heard of this one before, but it sounds like something that might be up my alley to read, so I might want to read that one. It, Stephen King. There's so many different covers and varieties of it. I feel like every older Stephen King novel has many different reprintings and many different covers, especially when like a new movie version of it comes out, but I feel like has the most variety in cover art for it. I don't know, maybe it's the one that's been republished the most, but I just feel like every time I find a copy of it, it's a different cover than the last one I found. Some more Charmed books, Pied Piper. That one I have. The Queen's Curse I do not have, so this will be mine. Found one thing so far for me today. Love Charmed. I have a few hardcovers, some Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough, Better in the Dark, and Communion of Blood. Then we have The Sinking of the Titanic and Great Sea Disasters, survivor stories, and a bunch of things. Looks like an interesting one. And this is an illustrated 2 books in one. This is pretty cool. This is A Brief History of Time and The Universe in a Nutshell, both really good books that I've read before. This is kind of a cool edition of that, and an older copy of Dr. Zhivago. The last 2 things, I've actually found 2 good things in with the DVDs that are both for us, which is like always an exciting thing. We have a season of Home Improvement that we hadn't added to the collection yet. It's one of those oddball things that it's pretty common. We both absolutely love it. We just have not pieced together a set of it yet, but the complete 8th season, the last season of the show. 7 and 8 were definitely not up to par with the earlier seasons of the show, but still really enjoyable, and this was one of the family sit-down like premiere sitcoms of the 90s. This was one of the biggest hits of the 90s. I really feel like Home Improvement and Seinfeld are probably the 2 that really defined '90s sitcoms for me, with like what I'd watch with the family and that kind of thing. So really, really good, and did have a great send off. The final story thread really worked well, and it worked well as a conclusion for the series. So it was a really good send off. The other thing that was in there, and this was the sticker. There's always one sticker color. It's full price, but I don't know why this wasn't in the case. This would normally be in the case, but it is Star Trek: The Complete Original Series on DVD, and this is the remastered editions. That would be on the newer ones that would be on Blu-ray and that kind of thing. And I have the older DVD versions, the more original cut that are more like what you'd find on VHS and Laserdisc, and this is really cool. I have the remastered, obviously, that new Blu-ray collection, which is beautiful, but now this is the complete set of TOS on DVD, the remastered editions, discs made in Germany, packaged in the US. I feel like Star Trek has such a connection to Germany. There are so many Star Trek things, especially now, like the TNG Blu-ray steelbooks were exclusively through Amazon Germany. There's a lot of Star Trek merchandise that is printed and made in Germany when a lot of companies are pressing their discs in Mexico. For some reason, a lot of Star Trek stuff happens to be in Germany instead. I don't know. There seems to be a very strong connection to Star Trek in Germany. This is really, really cool. The full price they had on it, there was only $20, and it's sealed. And this is like, depending on where you get it, like a 40 to 60, maybe even like $70 pack. So for $20, I'm like, all right, that's well worth. I don't have to pay half price. That's cool. So that was a really cool addition. So a lot of good stuff to go through. Some curious oddball things, with my little hand puppet sticking out there. I don't know. I stared at this guy for a couple of seconds, like, where do I know you from? And then it just hit me. Always interesting to find that kind of stuff. A great couple of days out. It's only midweek. Over the weekend and like Monday, we're doing all kinds of stuff. Amanda and I went to a new restaurant. My new neighbor moved in next door, which happens to be my younger sister, with her dogs. That was kind of an interesting occurrence the way things went. My old neighbor moved out. She happened to be looking for a place, and she's moved in next door. Kind of an interesting situation there. Hope you guys are having a great week. I've been having an awesome week so far. Hopefully that continues and we move into a new month, springtime creeping in there. Worried about the summer heat this year after the disaster that was last year. So many different places. We will see what happens. Best of luck when that comes around. And if you've missed it, make sure you check it out, because people are pre-ordering it like crazy. I don't know if there's going to be a limit and they'll run out. But on Play Asia, the Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition, that remaster with the Radical Dreamers added onto it, is finally getting a physical release, but only the Asian region version. They have to pre-order through Play Asia. And I think one or two other retailers might have it as well as like English support, and I think several other language options as well. But there is finally, because it's getting worrisome there for a little bit. Same thing happened with like the Final Fantasy ports to the Switch 7, 8, and 9. Had to go and import the Switch version, but that is up there. So go ahead and grab that. And also the pre-orders for the House of the Dead remake I know are live, and people are waiting for that because both of those are titles that were announced and are coming digitally, very, very soon. But there wasn't a word for a while on a physical edition. They are getting physical, so get out there, support the physical releases. Those are coming out. Klonoa still this summer. Just this is going to be a really, really, really good year for games in general, but I think the Switch in particular.